So first, let me tell you about myself. So my name is Hemu. I'm a CCI security certified and Palo Alto certified. I'm also working professional. I used to just give the training over the weekends in Saturday and Sunday. Today, we are basically here for the demo on Palo Alto Firewall, where I will cover your PCNC training. My company name is Ssl Inspirational Academy. So this company basically I am providing the trainings to Ssl Inspirational Academy. Now we do have one application as well. And apart from this, basically, if you will type on Google like www.sianets.com, you will get our website. These are the contact numbers. So you can basically contact us on these numbers if you really interested for the training. This number belongs to me. So if you have any query with regards to Palo Alto Firewall, you can take the screenshot of this number and you can basically call me anytime and I will help you with your query. Now, apart from that, if I'll go here, this is my application. Basically, in our application, we are having few courses. So this is my application where we are having all these courses, and you will also get all your videos through this particular portal only. So we have here Python course, Palo Alto PCNC course, LTM, GTM, ASM, Palo Alto Tech, Checkpoint, and FortiGate training. This is my website, https://sianets.com. And you can check out the course content if you want. For Palo Alto, you can go into this link. You will get the details. Apart from this, basically, if you will type on YouTube NST Firewall, we do have two YouTube channels. So this is the first YouTube channel. In this YouTube channel, basically, if you will go into playlist, you will get the few videos on Palo Alto. If you want to see the lab setup related video, you can basically check out these videos where I have explained how we can do the Palo Alto lab. Okay, how we can install the EVNG as well on VMware workstation. Everything I have covered here. Apart from that, basically here I have uploaded few videos with regards to TCP/IP interviews and all. Python videos will be there, F5 Ltm videos will be there, AWS videos will be there. And I do have Palo Alto videos here as well. You can watch some videos here and you can decide how we used to basically provide the trainings. Apart from this training, apart from this particular channel, I do have one more channel. The name is Ssl Inspirational Academy. So if you will type on Google Ssl Inspirational Academy, you will get this particular channel. If you will check out this channel, you will get lots of videos with regards to Checkpoint, Palo Alto, automation, F5. So this particular channel we have basically created majorly for the F5 Ltm related courses basically. And you will get all the details here. So if you want, you can check out these details. Meanwhile, I'm also putting you these details on a chat basically. So you will get the idea. So I'm just sharing these details on chat with everyone. Sianet website. So this is my website link. Okay, and this is my website. So this link I will give later, guys. Now, let me just tell you what are the things we will cover here and what kind of support you will get. So this Palo Alto training is around 32 plus hours of training basically. I used to take some session of 2 hours, some session of 2.5 hours, and some session of 3 hours basically, totally depending on the session what I am discussing. So that course reaches around 32 plus hours basically. You will get the lifetime interview support. So if you have an interview, you can ping us, we will help you with your interview as well. You will get the lab workbook and you will also get the lifetime recorded videos access. I will also help you with the lab setup on your laptop. If you don't have a good laptop, then I will basically build the same lab on Google Cloud Platform. It's a weekend classes basically. So I'm going to conduct these classes on Saturday and Sunday, starting from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. or sometime 11:30. Practical issue discussion also open. So after every class, I used to give around 1 hour of time where we can discuss all your doubts. If you want to discuss any kind of issues which is you are facing in your production environment, that kind of issue I also used to cover here. You will get the mock interview support as well in case of if you have any interview. So these are the things which you will get here. Now let me first go through with the course content. What are the things I'm going to cover in your live classes? So this is the document where I have mentioned all the course content. So guys, in your first class, I used to cover platform and architecture. What is the actual architecture of Palo Alto Firewall? What kind of platforms we are having? What are the hardware devices we are having for Palo Alto? What is the virtual devices we are having for Palo Alto Firewall? All these things I will cover here. I will discuss the single pass architecture, which is SP3. If somebody is having any experience on Palo Alto, they should know what is SP3. So I will give you the exact implementation of SP3 on Palo Alto Firewall. Then we will discuss the flow logic, which is packet flow. I will also discuss here initial configuration. So let's take an example. If you got the Palo Alto box in your environment, right? Now, how you can do the initial configuration, how you can connect with your Palo Alto firewall by using console cable, then how you can configure your management interface, right? What are the default username and password? What is the default IP will be there, right? How we can do all that configuration by using the CLI. After completing the initial configuration, how we can access this firewall, how we can do the configuration management, basically how we can import the config, how we can export the configuration, how we can save the configuration, all this particular configuration management thing I will cover. I will also cover here licensing and software updates, how you can basically license the Palo Alto firewall. Because whenever you will receive a Palo Alto firewall from Palo Alto, you have to do the licensing by yourself. Now, how you can register this Palo Alto firewall at the support portal of Palo Alto firewall, right? How you can get the serial number of your Palo Alto device, right? All these things we will discuss in detail. How you can basically manage the software updates after that, how you can create the admin account basically for your different users on the basis of their access level, like L1 engineers, L2 engineers, and L3 engineers, and how you can define the access level for them. How we can control the account administration using the radius as well. So let's suppose what I will do, I will run the local radius server where I will create the user database, and after that we can use the username and password for accessing your Palo Alto firewall. I will also explain you here how you can integrate your Palo Alto firewall with the Active Directory, and how we can use this Active Directory username and password for accessing your Palo Alto firewall. So we will see all these things when I will cover with that. So I will move towards your interface configuration. Here we will discuss what are the different types of interfaces we are having, like what is L2, L3, what is virtual wire interface, what is step mode deployment, right? What is the interface decryption mirror, all these things we will discuss in detail. Then we will discuss what is the concept of security zones on Palo Alto firewall, right? I will tell you the sub interfaces concept as well on Palo Alto firewall. How we can configure Palo Alto firewall as a DHCP server, as a DHCP client, and as a DHCP relay agent. We will discuss all these three things on Palo Alto firewall. I will also explain you, if you want to configure the routing on Palo Alto firewall, you have to deal with the virtual routers, where how you can basically add the virtual routers. How we can configure different routing protocols on these virtual routers. So we will see all these details here. And let's take an example. If you have a multiple virtual routers, you have a few virtual router for outside network and few virtual router for inside network, right? Now, how you can enable the communication between them? It is a same example like VRF on routers, how we can allow the communication between multiple VRFs, right? So these things we will see in detail along with the real-time use case here, basically. After that, I'll just move towards the most important topic of your Palo Alto firewall, which is security policies and net policies. Because if we purchase, generally we will purchase firewall for protection at your layer 3 traffic, at your layer 4 traffic, and at your layer 7 traffic, right? Which means we are purchasing firewall for writing the security rules, security policy. We will purchase the firewall for the net rules, for your VPN functionalities, and your layer 7 inspection. So these are the 4 things generally we want to achieve. That's why we used to purchase the firewall, and your security policy and net concept are the important thing. I will tell you how we can basically configure these security policies, how we can create using graphical user interface, using CLI, right? How we can create these templates and everything here. Then I will discuss your net, where source net, destination net. So here I will cover multiple use cases for your destination net. When we have like one-to-one mapping, one-to-many mapping, how we can do the port forwarding and everything in your net policies. So basically I used to take around 2 dedicated session on security policies and net policies basically. And after that, I'll just move towards your application identification, because this is also a core functionality of your Palo Alto firewall. We will see what is app ID, application identification overview, what is application group and filters. Apart from this, I will also tell you when Palo Alto firewall basically sends the packet for application identification in case of TCP, in case of UDP, and how your application engine kick in, which basically chip inside your Palo Alto firewall basically process this app ID related task, which algorithm we will run. So if I'll tell you, in Palo Alto firewall, your app ID function is taken care by the chip named as Jaguar chip. This is the FPGA, field programmable gateway array, who will take care of your app ID function. Now, on this Jaguar chip, basically, there is a one algorithm which is DFA. This algorithm basically runs on this Jaguar chip, and basically it will do the application identification. Now, here we will also discuss what is application signatures, what is protocol decoders, what is unknown protocol decoders, what is heuristic checks. Everything we will see in detail, along with the practicals here basically, because all the thing which I am discussing, we have a labs, we are having dedicated labs for that. And after that, I'll just move towards your content ID, where we will see what is antivirus protection profile. What is antivirus protection profile? What is anti-spyware protection profile? In anti-spyware, we will also discuss here what is DNS sinkhole, how DNS sinkhole works, what is vulnerability protection. Then I move towards the most important topic of Palo URL filtering. Now here I will tell you how Palo Alto Firewall do the URL filtering. What is the exact implementation of URL filtering? What is data plane cache? What is management plane cache? What is cloud lookup, right? All these things we will see in detail basically in your URL filtering. Here I will also cover your extra dynamic list, how you can configure the EDL for URL filtering. Then I'll move towards your file policies, how we can basically control the upload and downloading of different file types. Let's suppose you got a task, you want to block all downloading of all the exe file. You want to block and downloading and uploading of all the .bat file, right? How you can control that thing? So for that, we have to implement the file blocking policy. I will also tell you what is wildfire, what is the exact operation of wildfire basically, and why we use this particular wildfire feature on your Palo Alto firewall. After that, I just move towards your security profiles. What is the concept of security profiles? Wildfire. And after that, when I will complete that part, I will basically explain you zone protection and DOS protection basically. How we can protect from the DDoS attack, which includes your TCP SYN flood attack, then TCP SYN flood attack, UDP flood attack, ICMP flood attack, host sweep, how we can basically protect our environment from such kind of attacks. What is the exact difference between zone protection and DOS protection? And here basically I will use my Kali Linux machine for launching the real-time attacks basically on our environment. And we will see first I will launch the attack, and after applying these protection profiles, you will see attack is not happening. So we will see all these things in detail. And after that, I'll just move towards your decryption. Here I will cover the SSL handshake in detail. And after that, I will also cover how we can basically do the certificate management. What is the concept of root certificate, intermediate certificate, and your end user certificate. And I will tell you the exact implementation of outbound SSL decryption, exact implementation of inbound SSL decryption, how my Palo Alto Firewall do the decryption, how it will modify the certificate chain. We will see all these things by using the Wireshark captures here. Okay. I will also tell you how we can basically protect from the SSH tunnel, because nowadays people are using SSH tunnel for launching the attacks. Then how we can basically restrict that kind of traffic as well. When I will done with that, I'll just move towards your user ID. How we can basically implement the user ID on Palo Alto Firewall, how we can do the AD integration, how we can integrate Active Directory with Palo Alto Firewall, how we can achieve the users to IP mapping, how we can basically install the user ID agent. And here generally, what I will tell you with regards to user ID, basically, people have lots of confusion. Like according to your scope of work, basically, I will tell you what are the things you have to configure, because we don't need to configure everything if we just want very, very few things, right? So I will tell you the exact implementation of user ID. Here, basically, I will also tell you how you can read the file of authd.log, how we can read the log file of this particular daemon if there is any issue with regards to your user identification. And after that, I'll just move towards your site-to-site VPN, where I will cover your phase 1 and phase 2 exchange in detail. What is IPsec tunnel, and I will cover. So I have written here multiple use cases of your IPsec VPN. You will see here around 13 use cases will be there. So I will cover here around 1 or 2 use cases depending on our session. And apart from this, for remaining use cases, I am having the recorded session basically. So we will basically, I will give you these recorded sessions so you can basically go through with that. Now, after completing these things, I will just move towards the global protect, which is a remote access, or we can say remote access VPN solution from Palo Alto, where I will explain you the connection flow. Because if I'll say when any user connect by using the global protect line, there is around 15 to 16 SSL connection is created and they are terminated. So I will explain here the exact connection flow, how basically your different daemons involve on your global protect and how they will communicate. If I'll take an example, so for global protect, when we initiate any traffic, it will hit in your data interface where traffic will take care by the pen task daemon, right? Then pen task daemon will communicate with nginx daemon. And after that, Nginx, it will forward that traffic to FBAP3. Now this FBAP3, it will communicate in a backend with REST manager for all kind of backend functionality. It will communicate with your user ID through system daemon. So I will explain you this exact communication, how it is happening. And even though we will also verify log files of these daemons as well, basically. So I'll cover these things in detail. And after that, I will also explain you how we can basically implement the user logon, how we can implement the on demand. Then we have a pre-logon, then on demand, and pre-logon, then user logon. So all these 4 types of deployment method we will discuss with regards to global protect. After, I will also tell you how we can create a management and reporting things, how we can configure syslog servers, NetFlow, how we can configure log types, then how we can manipulate the dashboard, basic login, all these stuffs. And guys, apart from this, I mentioned here Panorama. In Panorama, basically, what we used to do? We used to provide us 7 hours of recorded sessions. So you will get these recorded videos in just 300 INR. We will give you the voucher so you can able to get these videos on Panorama, because Panorama classes I don't use to cover in this particular training. Apart after that, I will also cover your high availability, which is HA concept, where we will discuss active passive high availability, how we can configure active passive high availability, what is active high availability, and how we can configure active high availability by using all the 3 use cases. So if you will see here, we have a 3 use cases for active HA, like floating IP based HA lab, ARP load share HA lab, and mixed mode HA lab. So we will discuss all these 3 labs. And in this lab, I will also tell you how we can read the HA agent log file, because this is a daemon who will basically take care of your HA related functionality in Palo Alto Firewall at your management plane level. At your data plane, there is a pen DHA. This is the daemon who will take care. So I will also tell you how we can read the log file of pen DHA daemon, and how we can basically troubleshoot the HA related task in your Palo Alto Firewall. After that, basically, I also used to have a webinars. So I used to run one webinar on Palo Alto Firewall troubleshooting in every 45 days. That time I will invite you, where I will cover you what is packet filter, what is packet captures, what is flow basic, what is TCP dump, how we can use these particular troubleshooting utilities to capture the packet and to see how my Palo Alto Firewall is handling the traffic. So this is how, so this is the entire course content which I am gonna cover in this training. Now let me just go through with one of the topic for today. So what I will tell you, I will just discuss one small topic. So I will not go in depth basically of your packet flow, because if I used to teach the packet flow in detail, I need minimum 2 hours to complete it. But I will give you today overview of it basically. Okay. So which is also known as like life of a packet in PAN-OS or packet flow, or how Palo Alto Firewall process the packet when it received basically. So to understand the packet flow in detail, so this is the packet flow diagram, guys, but I will first tell you the what are the component we are having in your Palo Alto Firewall basically. So if you remember, in Palo Alto Firewall we have two things. Let me makes little bit size bigger here. So we have two things. We are having management plane and we are having here data plane. So these are the two things you will see in your Palo Alto Firewall. Every box have a dedicated management plane and it is having dedicated data plane. Now, your Palo Alto Firewall, they have basically these particular content. So first, if you will see, we are having interfaces stacks here. So let's take an example. These are the interfaces stack, where we have your interfaces of your Palo Alto Firewall. Ethernet 1x1, 1x2, 1x3, 1x4, 1x5, 1x6, Ethernet 1x7. And let's suppose we have one more interface, which is Ethernet 1x8. Now this particular interfaces stack, it has a direct connection with one of the chip, which is known as Marvel chip. So all these interfaces, they have a direct connection with this particular chip. And guys, just remember one thing here. As I have mentioned, these interfaces, right? Just these are the copper interfaces. Okay, just remember. Let's suppose if you have some fiber ports here. Let's take an example. These are the 3 fiber ports you are also having in your Palo Alto Firewall. Maybe Ethernet 1x9, Ethernet 1x10, Ethernet 1x11. Fiber port or SFP plus ports. In that case, these particular ports, they have a connectivity directly with one of the chip is known as Petra chip. Like that, you have a interfaces stack, and after that you have a your chip. Now after that, there is a one more chip you will see in your Palo Alto boxes, that chip is known as Liger chip in low end boxes, guys. So if you have a like 200 series firewall or 300 series firewall, you will get the Liger chip. And high end boxes, that chip they have changed and they have named it as a Tiger chip. So if you are having like 5000 series box, which means you will get the Tiger chip on it. And this Marvel chip, it has a direct connection with this particular Liger and Tiger chip. In case of Petra, they have connectivity this like that. And this particular Liger or Tiger chip is known as network processor. So this is a network processor of your Palo Alto firewall, or we can say it is also known as session offloader. Means this chip will basically handle the offloaded session. Okay. What is offloaded session? I will discuss in your real classes. Now, after this chip, in Palo Alto firewall, there is a one more chip you will see. That chip name is Octeon chip. Now, if I'll tell you about this chip is known as data plane CPU. This is the actual chip who will basically process the packet according to life of a packet in your Palo Alto firewall. We have Octeon chip. Now this Octeon chip, it has a direct connection with one more chip. That chip name is Jaguar chip. Now this Octeon, it has a direct connection with Jaguar chip. So guys, if you will see this is the entire data path of your PAN OS. Basically, when you receive a packet, that packet go through this particular data path. Okay. Now there are a few commands which we can run to check all this chip health is good or not. We can able to troubleshoot the chip related issues by running some kind of commands here. Okay. Now, apart from this, you also need to know one more thing. So if I'll write down the things here, let me write down here only. Let's suppose this is your Palo Alto firewall. This is one of the user. Let's suppose this interface Ethernet 1x1 and this is your inside interface. You have one more server here. Let's take an example. This is Ethernet 1x2 and this interface is DMZ interface and you have one server here. Let's say this user having IP address 10.1.1.70 and this server having IP address 10.2.2.70. Let's take an example. Okay. Now, let's suppose on this server, we are running telnet. Telnet services we are running on this server. So if on this machine, if we want to open the telnet, so what will happen? If I want to open the telnet on that server, that time what I have to do, I need to basically start the communication like this. So if I draw the communication here, so in telnet, if you remember, it runs on port number 23, which is TCP. If we are using here TCP, which means your packet will go through with the TCP three-way handshake, right? So in first request, we will receive this request on Palo Alto firewall. This packet is a TCP SYN request. Now, if I write down the packet content of TCP SYN, you will see source IP address is 10.1.1.70. Destination IP address is 10.2.2.70. Source port, it will choose any random port. So let's suppose it has chosen 10.1025. Source port and destination port is 23. Source IP, destination IP, source port and destination port. So this is the packet format, right? Now when my Palo Alto firewall, he will receive this packet, what he will do? So now I am writing here how my Palo Alto app do the processing port TCP SYN. So when Palo Alto receive this TCP SYN request, what it will do? It will first process the packet at ingress level. at ingress stage. After that, your packet will go through towards the flow lookup. So these are the different packet processing stages we have in your Palo Alto firewall. And if you know these stages, you can able to understand the life of a packet or packet flow inside Palo Alto firewall. Ingress stage flow lookup. After that, because it's a first packet, right? So there is no flow, there is no any session. Flow lookup, or let me just write down here, session table lookup. Okay. And after that, you will see we are having here now, there is no flow, then this packet go through the session setup stage. This stage is also known as slow path. After that, your packet will go through towards the first path. When session is created and it's got installed into the session table, so your packet moves toward the first path. Now guys, just remember, because it's a TCP SYN request. So TCP SYN packet, generally it is not having any kind of layer 7 content, guys. Just remember, in your SYN packet, it is not having any kind of layer 7 content. So that packet will not go towards your app engine and it will not go towards your content engine. Just remember. So app ID and content ID is completely bypassed for TCP SYN because in this packet, we don't have any kind of layer 7 information. So what will happen now? Your packet, it will directly go into the forwarding stage. This is how it will basically process the TCP SYN request. And after that, what it will do, it will forward this request towards this server. Now, when this server receives this request, what he will do? He will give the reply, right? And we will receive the reply, which is TCP SYN plus ACK. Now, if I write down the processing of TCP SYN plus ACK on my Palo Alto firewall, then this particular request will be processed into these stages. Ingress stage, then your flow lookup. But this time, guys, as you know, these Palo Alto firewall, these are the stateful devices nowadays, right? So they used to manage the maintain the session table. So this time in flow lookup, it will found out the flow. So what they will do, it will bypass the session setup state basically, and your packet directly go into the fast path. And after that, your packet will go towards the forwarding stage. This is how your TCP SYN plus ACK will be processed. Now, packet reached here, and after that, this machine, when he received the TCP SYN plus ACK, so what he will do, he will send the ACK packet. ACK received by the Palo Alto firewall. So your TCP ACK packet is also processed according to this ingress stage, flow lookup, fast path, and forwarding. ACK reached here. Now, when they have basically exchanged these three messages successfully, which means now your TCP three-way handshake is completed and your connection is established, right? Now your connection is established, and after that you will see some traffic with regards to the telnet. Now you will get here telnet request packet, right? Now this telnet request packet will go through. So if I write down how my Palo Alto do the processing of telnet request packet, so this is the processing ingress stage, then flow lookup. This time flow will be there, right? After that, it will move towards the fast path. Then now guys, here you will see, now this packet go through with your app engine, app ID, and your packet, now this packet also go through the content engine if we are having content ID enabled there. And after that, your packet go through with the forwarding stage. So this is how your telnet request packet will be processed. Okay, now if you will see this diagram, basically, as I have mentioned, your Jaguar chip, it is responsible for your application identification and content identification. These two tasks is done by this particular Jaguar chip. This is also a guys FPGA field programmable gateway array. It is having dedicated RAM here, dedicated RAM. It is having this chip also having dedicated RAM, and this chip is also having dedicated RAM. Okay, just remember. So this functionality is done by the Jaguar chip. So when we receive a packet who is having some kind of application identification or content identification required, then these packets is handled by the Jaguar chip. Only these two functionality. Apart from that, your ingress processing, your ingress stage, your flow lookup, your fast path, your slow path, all these tasks done by the data plane CPU. Just remember, the chip name is Octeon chip. Now, let's take an example. There is any issue with this chip, right? Maybe that time your app ID or content ID will not work properly. Let's suppose there is an issue with the memory leak. Whatever software buffers we are having here, or whatever hardware buffers we are having, or whatever core descriptor and CPU descriptor we are having in this chip, maybe they got depleted due to any reason, right? So such kind of issues, if you want to troubleshoot, you have to know the data path of your Palo Alto firewall. And after that, we have to check the spool statics at each and every chip level, basically what's going on there. That's why I have basically covered this particular data path. Okay, now I'll coming to your exact packet flow, guys. So just remember, if you will see this diagram, I hope this diagram is visible to you. Let me just increase the size a little bit more. This is a pretty old diagram, so in your classes I will discuss the new diagram. So guys, just remember, when we receive a packet in your Palo Alto firewall, what it will do, that packet first processed by the Palo Alto firewall at ingress stage. If you will see, this is the ingress stage. Now in your ingress stage, what will happen? We have received the packet. So what we will do? Now we will basically extract your layer 2 information, layer 3 information, and layer 4 information from the packet. Layer 2 information includes your Ethernet header, like your source MAC, destination MAC. Layer 3 information includes your source IP, destination IP. All these details we will extract from the layer 3 information, and we will extract layer 4 information, which is your source port, destination port in case of TCP and UDP. In case of ICMP, they will extract your sequence number and identification number. In case of IPsec, they will basically extract the SPI number, SPI in and SPI out numbers, basically. Okay, we will discuss these things as well. They will extract that information, and after that, what, by looking into, because we have received the packet, let's say we have received this packet on Ethernet 1x1 interface. Let's suppose this interface is a part of inside zone. So what happens basically, but when we receive the packet, we will get the ingress interface, which is Ethernet 1x1, and by that interface, whatever zone is associated, so we will get the zone details as well, and we will mark this packet we have received into the inside zone. So source zone here become your inside zone. Okay. And sometime what happens, sometime we used to receive the fragmented packet, basically. If we are receiving the fragmented packet, then my Palo Alto firewall, what it will do, the IP reassembly first, and after that only it will basically extract these information, because he has to build the entire packet first, right? Now, after that, it will move towards the ingress process error checks. Ingress process error checks means what it will check your headers, layer 2 header, then it will check at layer 3, it will check your IP header, at layer 4, it will check your TCP or UDP headers, right? And in these headers, it will check these headers is formatted properly or not according to the RFCs. If there's any parameter which is misconfigured, let's suppose we have received the IPv4 header. So we are receiving the data for IPv4, but at the header end they have mentioned IPv6, which is not good, right? So we will look for such kind of header errors. And if we will found any headers on the packet, what we will discard that packet right away. Otherwise, if the header, we don't have any errors on the header, then it will forward this packet for the firewall inspection. Now, this firewall inspection comes in a picture when we deploy the Palo Alto firewall in tap mode, basically, because in tap mode, there is no inspection basically. So your packet directly go towards the egress interface. Okay. So just I'm bypassing here because most of the time we used to deploy Palo Alto 5 in layer 2, layer 3 and vWire mode. And guys, around 95% deployment you will see with layer 3 deployment in the environment. Okay. After that, what your IPsec. So let's suppose when we have received that packet, okay. So what they will check, because it will, when it will extract, so let's say we are receiving the VPN related traffic, which means we will receive the packet in ESP header, which is having some SPI number and all. So when we have these SPI number and all, which means it will check if that packet belongs to your IPsec VPN, your SSL VPN. Here it will also check for GRE, if traffic belongs to GRE or if traffic belongs to SHS. It will check these 4 protocols here. A packet is belonging for these 4 protocols. What it will do here, SSL guys, just remember the SSL. I'm talking about the global protect traffic. Okay. Don't think this is a HTTPS traffic. Okay. It's just a global protect traffic packets on SSL. So because in Palo Alto firewall, these global protect traffic will be encapsulated inside UDP port number 4501. Okay. It will check for that. If we are receiving the VPN related packet, then this traffic go towards the IPsec or SSL tunnel decryption basically. Now what? They will decrypt these packets and they will get the actual IP header, and after that they will forward this packet again towards the packet ingress processing. So that's how your ingress stage works in your Palo Alto firewall. There is a lot more to discuss here as well, but I'm not putting these details because here they have introduced one more thing, like which is DOS block table. The new PanOS, you will see the DOS block table also checked into ingress stage only, but I'm just not discussing this part. I'm just telling now. After that, just guys remember one thing, because if you have seen in your ingress stage, we have extracted your layer 2, layer 3 and layer 4 information, right? So in layer 3 information is your source IP and your destination IP. Layer 4 information is your source port and destination port. And from this layer 3, we will also get the layer 3 protocol number. And also we will use to get the details of your ingress zone, right? Or we can say we will also get the source zone details in your ingress stage, right? So why we used to collect that information, your source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port, layer 3 protocol and ingress zone. I have collected that information. So what I used to do, because this information is also known as 6 tuples basically. It's a 6 tuple information of your session table in your Palo Alto firewall. It's a 6 tuple information in your Palo Alto firewall, guys. Okay. Now, what they will do generally, this 6 tuple information, when we have that information, your source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port, and protocol number, what I used to do, my Palo Alto firewall used to run the MD5 hash on these values. And whatever value it will get, that value is known as flow key. So guys, I have mentioned here now, your packet is entering into the flow lookup, right? So what it will do, because in Palo Alto firewall, this flow table, or your session table. In this flow table or session table, when my Palo Alto 5 install any session, it will store that information into the database called like MongoDB database. And in MongoDB database, it will store these session details in a hashed form. That hashed form is known as flow key. That is the reason it will run the MD5 hash and it will generate this flow key. And after that, it will basically do the lookup into the session table with regards to this flow key. And if there is any match, if he found the match, which means there is a flow is exist. If there is no match, which means it's a new session. So like that, my Palo Alto firewall decide that packet belongs to existing session or that packet belongs to the new session. Okay, like that, it will do the lookup into your float table. Now, so you will see session match found. If yes, then it is going towards the fast path. You will see layer 2 to layer 4 processing. Your fast path is also known as layer 2 to layer 4 firewall processing. If session match found no, which means no here, that means your packet will go through the session setup state or also known as slow path. Now guys, because it's a first packet, so that packet will go through with the slow path. Now in slow path, if you will see here, in slow path basically, if you will see, first what it will do the lookup into your routing table. So in routing table, we have two conditions. If we are having policy based forwarding, PVF or policy based routing, if we have configured the PVF, then it will check the PVF policies first. If we don't have PVF, then it will check the routing table first. And this lookup it will be doing to find out the egress interface and egress zone. Egress interface and egress zone. Routing lookup will be done by the Palo Alto firewall to get the egress interface and egress zone details. And after that, it will move towards the net policy lookup. In net policy lookup, guys, there is a two condition. Here, if your traffic belongs to source net, in case of source net, what it will do, it will just write down like this particular net rule, like net rule 2 is matching. So it will just evaluate the net policy, guys. It will not do the translation here because your net translation will be applied on your first path. Here it will just do the evaluation. In case of source net, evaluate. In case of destination net, because you know, when destination will change, there is a lots of chances your egress interface will also change, right? So what it will do in case of destination net, it will do the routing lookup one more time to get the actual egress interface. So what here, they will just evaluate the policy. They will just write down, this is the net rule, which is matching. That's it. And after that, your packet move towards the firewall security policy evaluation. Here your security policy lookup happens. Basically, what they will consider when they do the lookup, they will think here application equals to any and URL is also equals to any. And they will check your security policies. If our security policy is blocking the traffic, then this traffic will be dropped here. And if we have enabled the log, if we have enabled the log in your security rules, then you will get the logs as well. Otherwise, if your security policy is allowing the traffic, now session will be created and that session gets installed into the session table. Now guys, just remember one thing. If you will see here, I have seen when there is something not working in your Palo Alto Fire, people always used to have a dependency on the traffic logs, right? But let's take an example. If your packet dropped here, if your packet dropped here, you will not get any kind of log for that, right? Even though if your packet dropped any of the ingress stays, you will not see any log here. Then, so guys, this, if you are not getting deny or drop packets in the traffic log, do not think it is not dropped by the Palo Alto firewall. There is a maybe some different reason or some different place where Palo Alto Fire dropping the packet as well. Okay, so do not rely on the traffic logs all the time, guys, when you will do the troubleshooting. And after installing this session, you will see the arrow. Now your packet going towards the layer 2 to layer 4 firewall process, where discard the packet if session is not in active state. So guys, in Palo Alto firewall, we have some session stages. Basically, let me just tell you these stages. First stage in your Palo Alto firewall is init stage. So initially your session is in initializing state. After init state, your packet will go into the opening stage. After that, from opening, it will basically change the stage to active. Now from active, your packet may go into the discard. Then we have here closing. And we have here closed. So these are the few life of a session. So this comes under your life of a session. These are the some stages of your session. And guys, if your packet will be in discard state, your packet will be dropped. If your packet in closing or closed state, in that case also your packet will be dropped. And in your Palo Alto firewall, when you will check the session table, you always see either your session is in init stage, either it is in active, or either it is in discard. These opening, closing, and close, these are the intermediate stages, guys. Just remember. Okay. These stages are the transient state. You will not able to see them, but they are basically here. They are available in a basically internal component of your session, life of a session. Now, after that, what they will do, if session is an active state, what they will update the session lifetime, and after that they will apply the net. If net rule is applicable, if we have a net rule, then they will apply the net rule here, and now your packet will go towards the SSL decryption, guys. In SSL decryption, what they used to do, if we have configured the SSL decryption, which means we are decrypting the SSL traffic, or we are decrypting this HTTPS traffic. So now if we are decrypting that traffic, now your SSL engine. So we have a dedicated engine in your Palo Alto firewall. Now that engine will kick in, and what it will do from your packet, what it will just strip the layer 7 information from that packet. It will store that information into FPTCP segments. It is a special segment which is for Palo Alto firewall. It will store this layer 7 information into FPTCP segment, and now your SSL engine, it will process, it will apply everything with regards to your SSL decryption through this FPTCP segments. And after that, your packet will go through the session app identification. If let's suppose application identification is not happened, then your packet go towards the app ID. Now app ID means your packet is entering into the Jaguar chip, where DFA algorithm will be there who will take care of all the things with regards to app ID. Now they will match the app override policies. So if we are having some internal application and we want to bypass the traffic of these internal application through app engine, then we can configure app override policy. If there is a match with the app override policy, we will bypass the app engine, and we will just directly go to the security policy lookup based on the application. Otherwise, if match is not found, then we will apply the application engine on the basis of pattern-based application identification, or on the basis of signatures, we will try to identify the application. And after that, if rule is matching, after application identify, if any rule is matching, and that rule, let's suppose we are having rule where Facebook is denied at the application level, that time your packet will be discarded here. So guys, if you are blocking the Facebook, so sometime you will see some packets is going through for Facebook, because first they will have to complete the TCP three-way handshake, then they also needs to complete the SSL handshake, and after completing this SSL handshake, you will able to only see the Facebook traffic. So you will see some SSL packet and some TCP packets is going through, is still through your Palo Alto firewall. Okay, because your Facebook application identification happens when we will do the some transaction with Facebook server. Okay, we are dropping, so you will see here your packet will be dropped, and after that your packet basically checks against the content engine where your antivirus, antivirus, firewall, these things will be there. If we have that engine, then your packet basically enter into the content inspection or content ID, where your actual SP3 will be applied on the packets. Now, here they will basically run the protocol parsing, decoding, content matching, tunnel application detection, all these things they will do. If there is any change on the application, let's suppose we are initially accessing Facebook, that time your application identify as Facebook base. But if we have switched the application from Facebook base to, let's say we have start opening the Facebook chat, then you will see your application shift happen from Facebook base to chat. That time again your packet go to the app engine, and again your security policy evaluation happens for this newly introduced applications. I will discuss that part in your classes, how your application shifts happen from one application to other in your Palo Alto firewall. Now, if your traffic is having any kind of malicious content, that content will be detected by the Palo Alto firewall at this stage only, at the content level here. If there is any packet, what they will discard the packet right away. Okay. And otherwise, if everything is fine, now they will again re-encrypt the packet. If they have decrypted on the top, then your packet they will forward towards the forwarding stage, which is egress stage. Now in egress stage, what they will do here, layer 3 lookup, they will do here layer 2 lookup, means ARP lookup, everything done at this stage only, right? They will also apply the quality of shaping. If fragmented needed, they will do the fragmentation and all, everything they will do. If packet belongs to IPsec VPN, then they have to encapsulate the NR header inside the ESP header in case of IPsec, right? In case of SSL or global packet, they have to encapsulate inside UDP 4501, right? All these things they will do, and after that your packet will be out from the outside interface of your Palo Alto firewall. So like that, your packet will be traverse inside the Palo Alto firewall. So this is the like old diagram, guys. If I'll open the new diagram, then you will find lots of difference there actually with the new diagram. So let me just find it out. I have somewhere here in a down. I just show you this diagram. So because in actual class, I used to cover that one. This is the block diagram. This is the life of packet, the actual one. So if you will see in actual diagram, basically I have, because Palo Alto have not released this official diagram, I have just created this diagram from by verifying the logs and everything. So you will see here, they will do multiple things here. They have added your DOS block table check in your ingress stage, right? They will check here for traffic for IPsec, SSL, SHA, SSL, BPN, GRE tunnel packets and all, right? And they will do the processing of these packets. For IPsec ESP, they will first check the hash, then they will decrypt, then they will decapsulate. For SSL BPN, they will check the hash, then they will decrypt. For GRE, they will check the hash, and after they will do the decapsulation. So like that, they will do the processing, right? We will discuss in detail. And after that, if you will see here, in your session setup state, they have added here zone protection and DOS protection check done by here. Your TCP state check done by here. And after that, they will basically check your IP user cache, basically checks will happen here. Application cache check happen here, basically. Then your routing lookup. So these are the few three things they have added in the latest Palo Alto operating system on PAN-OS 10. Apart from this, basically, they have also introduced your authentication policies, because we have a user based policy, right? They have introduced the DOS policies as well. For DOS policies here, then your security policies come in a picture. So this is the latest diagram, guys. After security policy, they will again do the lookup for your tunnel policies, which is known as TCI policies. They will apply the tunnel inspection policies for your GRE traffic, for GPTU traffic, for IPsec non-encrypted traffic, and for VXLAN. So these are the few new things they have added into this particular Palo Alto firewall, guys. And in your actual classes, I will basically use to cover this big diagram only. Okay. So this is all about, guys, for today's session. Now, let me tell you regarding this basically. So as I mentioned, this particular Palo Alto batch, we are starting from 10th of July. Classes will happen on Saturday and Sunday, starting from 9 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST. And this particular Palo Alto training, it needs around 7 weeks to complete. So there is around 14 classes in total. And after, when I will complete the Palo Alto, we will start the F5 Ltm batch. And the fees for both Palo Alto and F5 is 10,000 INR. If you are only enrolling for Palo Alto, then you have to pay 7K INR. So this is all about, guys, for today's demo. Now let me give you the mute permission so you can ask if you have any questions. Go ahead, guys. If anyone have any questions, you can ask.